broadcast all over Uganda and beyond. Join us on 98 FM in Kampala, 99.4 FM Lira, and 97.4 FM Arua. UBC Radio, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome to Ground Zero Season 2, a show that brings you It's Hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody showed. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the customer tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda. Welcome to Ground Zero Season 2, a show that brings you in-depth discussion ranging from politics, health, finance, sports, and so much more. Ground Zero Season 2.
Yes, indeed, it is UBC Radios, and we're here to inspire you, the people of Uganda. I want to welcome you to this very important edition of your UBC Ground Zero program. We are live on 5 radio stations that cover this program live. That is UBC Radio in Kampala. You get us on 98.0 FM. In Arua, you get us on 97.4 FM. In Lira, 99.4 FM. We also live on another radio station, that is UBC Butebo. In case you're in Mbale, 96.9 FM, Soroti 98.4 FM, and we're also live and clear on another important radio station, that is West Nile Radio, that is in the heart of Arua City. You get us on 98.0 FM, and we're also live on Voice Magic 100 FM, that is in Kampala, and also Voice of Butebo in Western Uganda. Ampaire Amon Buteega is my name, and I'm glad that I'm joining you right at this moment. And I want, in a special way, thank you, dear listener, for always choosing UBC Ground Zero as your favorite radio station every Saturday, and also UBC Radios as your best radio stations throughout the weekend and all the week. We can't take that for granted. I'm glad I've been joined by a very special team of guests in our studios of UBC, and we're going to talk about something very, very important. And today we are discussing a topic that continues to affect families, schools, workplaces, and communities across Uganda. And we're looking at confronting the drug abuse crisis among Ugandans as our topic this moment, and in this edition of UBC Ground Zero. And we take back and also zoom in, we look at the drug abuse, which is not just an individual problem. You may think that how is this concerning me? But it has become a national concern with far-reaching effects on our health, education, safety, productivity. But also we to look at the future. Where are we going to end with this kind of crisis? More young people are being exposed to alcohol, marijuana, prescription drug misuse, and other harmful substances, making it important for all of us to understand consequences and also solutions. When youth, you may think the other age brackets are not concerned or not spared, but when it comes to drug abuse, we have realized that it cuts across all groups of people and all stages. And today we are privileged to be joined by a distinguished panel of guests who will help us unpack this important issue from different perspectives. We have a very able and special team. We are all joined by a mental health advocate who will help us understand the close relationship between mental health and substance use, and why seeking support should never be a source of shame. This is Claire Nasasra, a mental health advocate and founder or team leader coming from the Sanity Haven. You're most welcome, Claire, on this important edition of UBC Ground Zero.
Thank you very much, Amon, for organizing this important discussion, and I'm very delighted to be here this morning. Good morning, everyone who's listening to UBC this morning, and I invite you all to listen into today's topic because it affects us in one or the other. Like Amon said, the youths are affected, but also the youths have been born, so the parents also get affected along the way, and they also have siblings who get affected along the way. They have employers, they have friends, and they have a whole lot of people surrounding them who get affected by the acts they get involved in, especially when it comes to drugs consumption or drugs addiction, and everything that comes with it. So I look forward to an exciting and important discussion. Thank you very much, and I'm glad to be here once again.
If I may request, can you do the same introduction in your local language for those who are part of us and may not understand this language we're using? They can at least have that share, please. And Akelo will do the same, and the other.
Alright, mulire muta bantu banje, amazina ninye Claire Nasasra, ndio munyambara, ndio muntu wanyu. Rizo bantu za kugamba ha kozesa ebikutoko ebintu ebikutokoza obwongo bwitu. Tuzagamba ha marwa, ha njaga, ha etabe, and na nebindi byonna bitukozesa bikuletera obwongo bwitu bwabura koraje. So nimbachira nimbeta mwena mwije mubaha muturikirize twena tumanye engeri itura yambe mabantu bitu okushira munonge minyeto nekira kuba niyo kushira kuba kufuna obuzubu kurugumbi ntebi ebikutokoza obwongo habo emyaka neteganisa abantu munonga. So erizo abantu zakubantu ntubigambaho ntureba engeri tukubasa kuyambayambamu no kuyambayambamu abo kukozesa ebyokutokoza obwongo kureba ngu twafuna engeri twabayambamu nabo babirgamu bashumisana batahe babo tona twachengana tona twabaje. Yeah,
okay.
I think that is enough.
All right. I want to believe that it is what you said exactly in English version. All right. Joining us on this very noble platform is a girl child activist who will share the insights on how drug abuse affects girls and young women and the role that families do or need to play when it comes to communicating or talking to our children, talking to our siblings, talking to the generation, the Gen Zs. When we talk about the young, we talk about the Gen Zs, but also look at the communities. What is their role that they can play in protecting them? I want to welcome you to this edition, Akelo Victoria. As you rightly said, a girl child activist is very important when we talk about societies. You're most welcome, Claire.
Thank you so much, moderator, for this opportunity. A very good morning to everyone who is listening to UBC Radio this morning. My name is Victoria Akelo. I am a girl child activist. We are going to exhaust a very interesting topic, discussing about the drug abuse on Uganda, most especially on the young people, on the youth. Me as a girl child activist, I'm going to exhaust it from my own point of view. Yes, and I look forward to having a very exciting moment with everyone else in here. Thank you.
I'm waiting on the other version.
Okay. Po yo tutwalo win radio duch, yo ducha metia wenye radio UBC, yidikoni, nyia obedo Victoria Kela daho, abedo nyaha chiela metia luenyi kom tuero tina nyira, tini ni enotu binulo hwani kom Rwame matujai kere mato kon ameti unya tutwali kinbuli melo wa Uganda kan utibinulo hwani yene ngwame oramwani timu bara na bido dana meti alwenyi kom tuero tina nyira ngwame oramwani timu achalo tina nyira mekonyo buli kinping wegjo beda jotia kwa bera mekop meti kere jai unyo mato kon yora raj romer tu dog ping kere neno ngwame tia kelu jamini yene ya kinpashu ikomon kara shel kero tina nyira opoyo tutwali winywa una bero ba mi undu shugum kai winywa.
That is which language and which district, please?
That is Langi from Laos.
Thank you so very much, and I want to believe that people in Lango there have understood the topic we're going to handle today and how significant it is, especially when we talk about our communities and also having a very functioning country. We need everyone to be healthy. That's why we bring you even these topics to local languages, in that you may not give an excuse that you did not understand. Thank you so very much, Akelo, there. And we also have a psychologist who will provide expert insight into the behavioral and also emotional factors behind addiction, recovery, and long-term healing. As when we talk about drug abuse, you know that it also comes with behavior and emotional factors, and which sometimes lead to addiction. But also when we talk about addiction, we can't fail to talk about that you can recover. If you don't recover, then we look at the long-term process of healing, or if you don't, then you see how you're going to end up in those effects. And someone to help us on that is Andrew Deo Ongolapas, who is the director of Free Mind Therapy, is a licensed psychologist, a substance and alcohol specialist. You are most welcome to this edition, Deo.
Thank you, Amon. Thank you for the introduction. I am pleased to be here today in UBC Radio. That has frequencies all over the country. Thank you for respecting the gender equality by first introducing the ladies, and I am so excited about that. So thank you. We are going to be speaking about substance misuse amongst our population in Uganda, and this is prevalent amongst our communities, and it's affecting a spectrum of all stages where we find ourselves in workplaces, families, and even in our social gathering. So I'm pleased to be here, and I'm excited that we're going to be sharing information that we know to better the communities we live in. To translate in my language Ateso, because we have listeners in Bukedi sub-region. Ayalamo sikere tunga kosile pupete UBC Radio. Ongo nisenyarte Andrew Deo Ongurapas. Arayong psychologist kere itunganan di ingarakiti itunga le jasi kadeka kanaka nakadam tungale maseta jono tungalito somaiti ke solo lo ilosetoni ejori ikamuti epone le beikine toni alemari ike kakwana katun bobode anyuni be katun bobode anyun be ijasoni itosomaito mamon kitosomaiti kelu adumun be mam kingara kitoni eyalamanoi kapupokisi lolo.
And I want to thank you so very much, but I'm not sure whether the Edaso also understands psychology. I wish you also translated that, a psychologist or psychology. But thank you so much, Olongalapas. And we join our dear listener, and we encourage you to stay with us throughout the program. Your questions, your comments, your experiences are welcome as we work together to explore practical solutions to this growing challenge in our country, in our motherland, in our communities, and the most affected are our neighbors, our friends, our siblings, our children, our aunties, our uncles, our fathers and mothers. Everyone is not spared, especially when we talk about drug abuse. It will come back to you. You may say, I don't take alcohol, I don't take marijuana, I don't take anything, but just know someone who takes them will end up on your door, will end up on your on you. So, but also we're looking forward. The other day, newspapers, we had a very big story that in every pharmacy, there is at least every youth that approaches the counter purchasing or looking for Viagra. They will help us, and my guests will help us understand Viagra, its effects, and why people these days are looking for it, especially the youth and also the other brackets, and we understand how this will end affecting all of us. So thank you for joining us. Let's begin our discussion on confronting drug abuse crisis among Ugandans. Ampaire Amon Butega is my name, and you've had my guests, and as well in the program you can always participate. We do value comments, we do value perspective and opinions on this platform. 0776 511 426. The number is 0776 511 426, where you'll be sharing your comments or questions. That is on call and messages. You will call in, especially in our second part of the program, and put the question right there. Let me start with you, Claire. When we talk about mental health and what you're advocating for, and then later we'll come to Ngolapas to understand the psychological mind as I come to Akelo then. Many people, Claire, say that drug abuse and mental health go hand in hand. Is it possible for you to explain that relationship? But also let's understand how big this problem is to the people of Uganda.
Thank you very much, Amon, for that wonderful question, and for allowing me open this morning's discussion. Yeah, you're very much right. Drug abuse and mental health go hand in hand, because whatever we take in as drugs in turn affects our mental well-being. And I was actually looking at the statistics this morning, and it so occurred that about 70% of Ugandan youths take drugs. And the funny thing is, the youths think that drugs are some kind of lifestyle, that some kind of swag, and they use it to fit into a certain environment, which is not truly desirable for a human brain. I have previously seen people take, I think the psychologists will take us through, there are things they call joints. Joints, and people take, these joints actually have flavors, I think. They have types. And because they're somewhere kind of cheap, because I think one of them costs about 5K or 5,000 Ugandan shillings or less, depending on the location. Every time, because I've asked some people why they take these things, and they have told me they fancy taking them. They are cool. They tell you these things are chilly. They are cool. They use certain terms, to entice you into also taking them. When I take them, there is a way I feel that when I take them, my functionality, heightens. When I take them, I'm able to perform on my tasks without, getting scared. When I take them, I'm able, to give a very good presentation. When I take, they give all these kinds of reasons. But at the end of the day, none of that is real. These things are just, like they are perceptions. There are things you're told, like the same way I was told about them. I can also go and buy those joints. I take them, and at the end of the day, I will think I'm going to perform more than I have been performing. But that is not the thing. Otherwise, if you are performing beyond how you are performing before, it means whoever you're working for or wherever you're working would be getting better results from everything you're delivering upon. But that's not always the case, Some people take them because, it's a lifestyle. They have probably seen Jay-Z on TV taking them. They have seen, those big artists take them, and you think, if I take them, I'm going to become like Shaggy. I'm going to, do the rap, and I'm going to, make myself much better. But that is not the thing. We perceive so many things in our minds, and then there are these drugs they call shisha. Shisha has flavors. It has strawberry flavors. It has vanilla. It has, those, like if you've taken ice cream, those kinds of ice cream flavors. That's what shisha also offers. And when someone is taking it, when someone seated on a shisha pot, there is a way they feel like they are in a different kind of environment, like the world belongs to them, like they have it all, and it kind of baffles me, like how, because you're going to take this so-called vanilla shisha, you will smoke it, and then the smoke will come out, and then you will feel excited because there's a way, like you see when you see the
feel excited.
Yes, it is temporary because it does not stay. That's why they go back for one more. If it was permanent, I would go there once, I get excited, and then I live on that excitement. But because the excitement narrows down after a certain point, you go back to get some more, to keep getting excited over and over again. But at the end of the day, it does not help you achieve anything. It doesn't. Just like you just go, you sit with people because they are taking this, you also feel like taking it. At the end of the day, that so-called peer pressure is not going to get you to produce the results you expected. At the end of the day, it doesn't really help as much. Some people think it is swag, I don't know who introduced this word swag, but yeah, people think it is swag to take drugs, to smoke shisha, to chew. I saw people chewing some things, some green leaves. I don't know if it is weed. I don't actually understand it, but I've seen people chew these things, and they chew them like chewing gum, and they don't spit, and they also told me they do not swallow. So I don't know what happens to the saliva, but they keep chewing and chewing like the way goats chew and cows. So they keep chewing. So one time I asked them, are you guys like cows or goats? Like, how do you do these things? And they told me these green things, they make our jaws hard. And I'm like, why would you want your jaws to be hard? And they had enough. Do you want to eat trees? Your jaws to be hard.
Okay.
And they kind of give excuses which you do not understand. You cannot even comprehend it, no matter how much time you took. And this baffles me all the time, because I always ask, like, what motivates you to be in this kind of position, to take this kind of drugs, to be in this kind of lifestyle day in, day out? And surprising, people who do drugs never get tired of doing drugs. It is a lifestyle. It is life. That's how it is. So according to what I have observed and shared this morning, I think sometimes we need to always ask ourselves about the choices we make in life, about the things we pursue in life, because not everything that's laid before us is actually important for us.
Okay.
In the
Thank
long
you so
run,
very much. I will get back to you on that, especially to do with untreated stress, trauma, anxiety, and depression that lead someone into drug abuse later on. I come to you, Deo. Claire has said that those who take drugs, sometimes they don't want to stop. And that's where the problem sometimes comes from. And you as a psychologist, also looking at why do people become so addicted while others do not?
Okay. Thank you so much, Amon, for that question. I would first want to start with one statement. Drugs do not have to be illegal for them to be dangerous. And when we talk about drug abuse, we are not only talking about illegal drugs. We're talking about prescribed drugs in the pharmacies, and we're also talking about unprescribed drugs in this category that we consider illegal. There are so many drugs right now in the market, and we can call them unprescribed illegal drugs, that we consider as very, very dangerous and could or have adverse effect in our bodies or in the bodies of those who use or misuse these substances. To just reinforce the earlier question you asked my fellow panelist, what is the relationship between substance use and mental health. These go hand in hand. They both reinforce each other. A person who has a mental or struggling with a mental health condition can find themselves using substances as a coping mechanism to what they are struggling with. On the other way around, drugs can predispose you to mental health conditions. To just go into what you asked me, these substances are dangerous. There is no, actually currently in Uganda, there is no centralized database to give us clear figures of the prevalence rate of substance misuse amongst our population. Though there are several studies that have been conducted by various institutions, including the Uganda National Bureau of Statistics, actually. That was done, I think, in 2016 and recently. And the statistics about substance misuse, specifically the illegal ones, were high at around 17%. That was in 2016. Though the current statistics, the recent statistics showed a drop to about 12%. When we consider the gender pattern of misuse of these substances, it is clearly evident that the males use more of these substances because of so many things happening. We can talk about the biopsychosocial aspect. When we talk about the biopsychosocial aspect, the biological aspect of it is people find themselves consuming or misusing these drugs because of the genetic predisposition. That your grandfather was once an alcoholic or a drug user, the likelihood of someone within that family lineage engaging or finding themselves misusing drugs is high. So that is the biological aspect. The second aspect I could relate it to the psychological aspect, where one's condition, let's say one's struggle with psychological concerns, we can talk about stress, predispose one or predispose individuals to consuming substances. Why? They try to use substances as a coping mechanism to deal with the stress. Or someone could be struggling with depression, someone could be struggling with anxiety, and they resort to using substances as a way to cope with that anxiety or stress. So they find that by taking substances or this alcohol, it could help them deal with whatever they're struggling with. But we consider this as maladaptive coping mechanisms or maladaptive coping, by resorting to consuming substances or drugs as a way of dealing with stress, or that comes from maybe financial struggle, domestic related challenges, and so on and so forth. And we find this so much prevalent amongst men. The other aspect of why people, or why we find youth or people engaging in using of these drugs, we could consider them as it comes from factors such as the social factor, because I talked about the biopsychosocial, biological, the psychological, then the social aspect. People find themselves using substances because of the social aspect, the environment they're in, the type of friends they deal with, peer influence. So for one to be in this situation that we consider an addiction or a misuser, they should have gone through about 5 stages. And as a person who is who has been socially influenced to take drugs, they first start by experimenting, and that is the first stage, where someone is just curious due to influence that, oh, how does beer taste? How does
want to try out new things.
Wanting to try out new things. How does heroin taste? You know, how my colleague talked about shisha. I see people smoking. Okay, let me try this. It smells nice. So out of curiosity, they experiment. And that is normally the first stage of indulging in this substance use. The second stage would be what we call the occasional use. After experimenting, you start now occasionally using. You know, I tried this last Saturday. Okay, I may not be a regular user, but I will try it again the next Saturday. So because of social influence, you will find yourself you're with the big boys, that term that we nowadays call the big boys.
You want to rub shoulders.
You want to rub shoulders with the big boys, and the big boys are doing shisha. It is yours. You first experimented it first time because of curiosity, but because you're always with the big boys, you want now.
The big boys are normal Juan, and you want to start with shisha, and you keep graduating.
Now you become an occasional user. Because you're with the big boys on Saturday, you become an...
you need the vibe.
Yeah, you need the vibe. So you start occasionally using. Then the third stage of using this socially goes into what we call the risky use. Now, that even though the big boys are not nearby, you can go on Tuesday out of work, UBC, or out of maybe... you sneak out and start using this by yourself, then it goes into harmful use. Then the last stage, it becomes now the dangerous stage of dependency. That is where we call the addiction. So there are so many factors that predispose our community, our youths to using substances. The biological, as I said, where there is a genetic predisposition, you inherit something from a grandfather or a father who was once maybe a user. Then the psychological, where your struggles mentally expose you to using these substances because you're trying to cope with what you are struggling with, like stress. Then now the social aspect, where because of peer influence, you find yourself using substances to fit in the communities. I want to categorically be clear that there are so many causes, or there are so many things that predispose people to using substances. Just besides what I have mentioned, but most importantly, those are the major factors that have been identified by WHO, which is the World Health Organization, and Ministry of Health. Amon, I hope I answered that question clearly.
Indeed. Thank you so very much. We know now the factors. We shall come to the dangers that come with those after those those who are looking for the vibe will get used to it and become occasional users, what happens to them? That whoever is outside there, maybe you are taking it out of excitement, or you have been trying to adventure and you find out or you want to try the experiences. It is very important to know where you are heading, and I think you're going to help us there, Deo, to understand it. I come to you, Akelo, especially when we talk about the youth. As earlier on, we alluded to one thing, that people are using marijuana, especially the youth, and not even the youth and others who want to get pressure and in different ways. And would also look at how drug abuse is affecting the girls and also young women differently from the boys when we talk about.
Thank you so much, Amon. When we look at the statistics from the Uganda Police Force data, we find that drug abuse is common in people, in Ugandans between 15 to 34 years. That is actually a very sensible age group, and according to the statistics, it takes up to 65% of the drug users. It is both on the boy and the girl child. However, when we look at these drugs, they have a number of effects on women, on the girl child, and on the community at large. So most girls try to get into the spaces, like for example, let me say, girls sometimes want to fit in with their peers, so they tend to start exposing themselves to drugs from peers. When a friend tells you that, I want you to try this, try out shisha and stuff like that, so they also be like, it's okay, let me give it a try and I see. But then in the long run, it brings a lot of effects mentally, physically, and in all spheres of life. It can accelerate physical damage on the girls and women. For example, this can even be caused straight from the men to the women, the physical damage. For example, let me say, if in a family, the father is an alcoholic who comes back home and beats up the wife, beats up the children and stuff like that, it is going to bring physical damage on the woman or on the girls and the children and the whole family, which in the long run is going to end up affecting the productivity of this woman. It's going to affect the productivity of the whole family at large. It also brings about vulnerability to gender-based violence. I think that is still coming from the point of physical damage. Yes, and addiction. Sometimes you start taking these drugs thinking that you're doing it just, but then in the long run you get so addicted. You get so addicted that you cannot do something not until you've taken a drug. You put your mind into it that, for me, if I've not taken this drug, there is no way I'm going to read this topic and pass it. So you get so addicted, you make your mind tuned to it that if you've not taken the drug, nothing is going to work out for you. So you get so addicted, and in the long run, it ends up affecting your mental health as a woman. Yes. We also have, like, for example, school-going girls. It affects their performance in school. They end up getting lower grades because it triggers their concentration in class. You find that sometimes someone is in class, instead of them concentrating in classwork, they are thinking about drugs. They are thinking about how is it going to reach time when I'm going to do the drugs with my friends and stuff like that. And in the long run, it's going to end up triggering these girls to get very low grades at school and high rate of absence from school, because sometimes they'll become so addicted. You get to be so addicted because we have, like I said, according to the data from the police force crime rate, it is within the age bracket of 15 to 34 years. So they are going to become absent from school, and it is going to increase the potential of dropping out of school. Very many girls are dropping out of school because of doing drugs. At times, they get so addicted to a point that they can no longer concentrate in school. They just want to be in drugs and their peers and all that. Or sometimes they become so wasted that they even fear to be among other people. You fear to be among your other friends because even the way you're looking, sometimes people take drugs and they have their eyes all turned red and stuff. so they cannot fit in the community anymore. They cannot fit in school. They cannot fit among their friends, so they end up dropping out of school. Yes.
Oh, that's problem number one, and I want to believe that you are outside there trying to address some of these challenges. Later on, I will come to you on what kind of programs or interventions have you seen or have you established that are making a positive difference for vulnerable girls who are outside there facing some of those challenges. I come to Claire. Maybe you can address that before I come to Claire. Maybe we shall forget, and then I want to get into those interventions. As you rightly say that you are a girl child activist. How are you helping them?
Okay, thank you so much. As a girl child activist, we are normally putting out community outreaches and initiatives, most especially at rehabilitation centers. We get in touch with girls in the communities and then we empower them. We partner with other different initiatives. We talk to the girls in both rural and urban communities. We empower them. We tell them the negative impacts of these drugs, especially in the long run. Because at the start, you're going to look at it as something like pleasure, but then in the long run, it's going to have a very big impact on your life as a girl child. So we are reaching out and we are advising them, because not every community has a rehabilitation center, but at least every hospital has a psychiatric section. So we advise them during our empowerment sections. We advise the girls to reach out, like in case you have anything that is stressing you out, because sometimes stress forces these girls to start doing drugs. But we advise them to reach out, like in case in their communities they do not have the rehabilitation centers, we advise them to reach out to their hospitals, to talk to the people in the psychiatric section. At least when you get counseling, you know, prevention is better than cure. But if you get counseling from someone who probably doesn't know you, because at times we die from inside, from situations, because we feel like I cannot go and talk to my mom about it because you fear to be judged. But when you reach out to a psychiatrist or a psychologist and you talk to them, they advise you, and you probably prevent something in the long run, or all the negative effects of these drugs. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Akelo. Claire, Akelo talks about stigma. He talks about how people then get vulnerable, and you find them missing out on their relevant activities that they do daily. Errands, they can't run their errands. They don't even attend classes for those who are attending school. Some others have to dodge work, and you find that they have reached that extreme point, and also there is stigma, and I want to believe that also causes stress, trauma, anxiety, depression that leads someone. Does that in any way also advance them into a use of these substances more, or it somehow reduces them? And why is it still so much stigma around seeking mental health support in Uganda? If you can raise those two questions.
Thank you very much, Amon, for that wonderful question, and to my fellow panelists also, thank you very much for your wonderful submissions. Now, responding to your questions, you asked about failure to perform when people consume drugs, and this is truly right, because when someone is addicted or is used to taking drugs, and for some reason they cannot access these drugs, their minds shut down because they are used to having these drugs. This is their source of energy. This is their source of motivation in order for them to perform. So in situations or scenarios where they cannot afford to access these drugs in one way or the other, their performances kind of decline in some way, because like someone will stay in bed in the morning because apparently maybe they might not have the money to purchase the joints that I talked about, or maybe to purchase the shisha or something, because they have conditioned their brains that without me taking the shisha, or without me smoking the joint, or without me chewing those green things I told you, I don't know what their name is, don't know if they are weeds or grass or whatever it is, I cannot perform, so they tend to use them every day in, day out, in order for them to perform, because their minds have been conditioned that without these substances I'm unable to do anything by myself. And talking about the drugs, sometimes these drug intake get people lonely and hopeless in some way, because sometimes you do not have the friends to do these drugs with. Perhaps the friends that you have, or the community you've grown in, or the environment that you live in or work in, they do not know that you're actually the kind of person who takes drugs. You're always hiding behind closed doors to smoke, to drink, to do whatever it is you need to do with the drugs. You never ever bring yourself to light and show them that you're doing this, because somehow at the back of your mind you know that what you're doing is wrong, but you still do it. And the only way you can afford to do it peacefully, in quotes, is by hiding away from everyone else. Because if you came, for example, if you are my presumed friend and you know that I'm against taking drugs, you will not have the guts to come and tell me, what, Claire, I'm going to take a smoke, or I'm going to chew something, or I'm going to drink or something like that. You will definitely have to do it behind my back, and by doing that, it means you're kind of creating distance between me and you, because you're not being authentic to me, and neither are you being authentic to yourself. You're only doing these things for a moment of pleasure, for that short time of excitement, So at the end of the day, you're lonely, you're hopeless. I mean, you're unable even to seek for help, because you don't have the guts to tell me what you're going through. So how will I be able to help about something I do not know? And at the end of the day, this is where the stigma comes in, because you do not know how to open up. You think if I opened up to Claire, because Claire is against drugs, you think if you opened up to her, she will not support you in the way you expect her to support you. You think she's going to judge you. These are things, mind you, these are things built at the back of your mind, because you have not taken a step to tell Claire what you're going through and what you're doing about it and all that kind of stuff. You think if you dare to open to her, she's going to judge you. But until you take up a step to do something, you can never know what the returns will be, because you cannot just sit in your bedroom and you claim that if you went to a clinic, for example, and you told them that you wanted an HIV test, that they are going to laugh at you. No one laughs at taking an HIV test, because HIV is a disease that everyone knows about. We have studied in school. We know how people get to suffer from HIV. We know what causes it. We know how it spreads. We know all that. So if you sit in your room and you don't get out to come and tell people about the situations they're going through, there will not be any kind of intervention, because I cannot, for example, go into someone's house and I'm like, hey, can I take you to hospital? Like, how do I assume someone is sick? That is crossing a boundary, and boundaries are supposed to be respected if you have a harmonious community. And you talked about the anxieties, depression, and stress. These drugs, people like my fellow panelists here said, sometimes when people are suffering from the anxieties, the depressions, and stress, they tend somehow to find a hiding place behind drugs, because they think drugs are actually helping them calm down the suffering they are going through. But at the end of the day, that is temporary. It's not permanent. Yes, you're going to for example, let me say you've been fired from your workplace. You've lost your job. You're going to go and smoke the shisha, take the alcohol, take the joints and all that. You get high. Yes, you're getting high, but then at the end of the day, when the highness comes down, when you get low, you're going to remember all these things that happened. You're going to remember you do not have a job. You're going to remember you have bills to pay. You're going to remember your mom is in the village, she's very sick. You're going to remember your brother needs tuition, or your sister needs medical attention or something, and every time you remember, you will still go back and take more and more and more drugs. So at the end of the day, what are you trying to overcome? At the end of the day, you're actually impacting yourself in a very dangerous way than you will ever get out. So sometimes we tend to use problems to solve problems instead of seeking solutions.
But are they early warnings or early signs that someone may be struggling with both substance abuse or mental health challenges? In that for someone who may be going through the same or has seen such challenge, signs should know that I am reaching at this point and maybe I need to seek medical assistance.
And thank you for that question. And you see, the funny thing with substance abuse is that people do not necessarily know that they're overusing it. They think, like I said earlier on in my first submission at the start of this conversation, is that people think this is a lifestyle. So when they are using them, they do not actually know they are actually abusing the substances. They think it is normal. They think it is okay to use them. They think it is swag. They think it is the order of the day. So they do not necessarily know that something is wrong with me. Even I remember there is a time I met a group of young men taking the joints. I met them at one of the bars in Kampala, in one of the suburbs in Kampala, and I asked them, what interests you guys take these things? And I remember someone told me, if you took them, you would understand how it feels like, the kind of energy that you get, the kind of excitement that comes with it is what you underestimate. And I'm like, you guys, you take them, but I see you do not change in color, you don't change in height, don't change in size, you're still the same person. So what are you talking about? And they never ever have anything to explain what they are doing. But of course, me as a person who's at a distance, who's seeing them, I can certainly tell someone is in a worrying state. But you see, these people do not necessarily believe that their states are worrying, because the more you take these drugs, the more you change, the more even your physicality changes, your teeth change. For example, if you're chewing those green things I talked about, your teeth color changes. Your if you over smoke the joints and take the tobacco and all that, somehow it affects your physicality, your facial expressions, your entire body. You change from the person you used to be to something different. And I also talked about asked these people, do you know about mental health? And they actually, I remember one of the guys telling me that everyone has a mental health issue, just that some of us are used to being this way and we find it okay and we find it cool. And I was like, really? Like, people think mental health is like a terminology for like in a movie set or something. They do not actually believe that mental health is as important as physical health, because these are the same people where they are taking the drugs and drinking the alcohol, and they get hungover. They are the same people who go to clinics or pharmacies to get drugs to help them calm down. But when they get depressed and all that, they do not want to go and seek treatment or seek help from professionals so that they can be able to calm their minds down.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you very much.
There I come to you. How does substance use affect brain, heart, liver, and other organs? So it is something that people always, when you're advising us, you tell us these are going to be affected and your organs, and one would ask, how is this going to affect them? But also looking at some of the drugs that are there, some drugs are causing irreversible damage even after someone stops using them.
Thank you, Amon, for that wonderful question. I think it just builds on what my earlier colleague had said. Drugs, we categorize or classify drugs into about 10 categories in what we call the diagnostic and statistical manual. The stimulants, the alcohol, we call them sedatives. There's so many.
Where do we consider Viagra?
Viagra, we could consider it as a stimulant because you want to perform in a certain way. To be clear, you want to perform sexually. So you have you have this kind of mindset that, oh, if I'm to consume this, it is going to stimulate the way I work. So therefore, it will enable me perform well. Yeah, which sometimes is a delusional kind of thinking, to be honest, because performance starts with how healthy you are, how healthy the heart works, how healthy the mind is, and how healthy the entire cardiovascular body system is. You asked me about the signs, symptoms of substance use. I could simply categorize this into behavioral signs. I could also categorize it into the physical signs and symptoms. I could categorize it into the psychological signs. And I'll, before I delve into how it affects the liver and blah blah blah, allow me just share that the behavioral signs of addiction can be seen in how aggressive one is. Aggression is just an indicator that, you know, this person is struggling with a particular use of a particular kind of substance. When you find someone trying to cope, what we call maladaptive coping, resulting into sexual misbehavior, to run away from a challenge, this is also one of the signs of a behavioral. This is a behavioral sign of substance use. Physically, substance use affects our appearance, how we look, how we perform. People who consume what we call cat, people who consume methamphetamine, people who consume heroin, people who consume what we call marijuana, people who consume cocaine, have a certain way. The physical morphology of how they look is different from a person who doesn't use most of these substances. You find them having red lips. You'll find someone's kind of facial expression is more of indicating a low mood, and so on and so forth. Then we have the psychological signs and symptoms of this substance use. People who use most of these substances are either anxious. You'll find them, people who are always anxious, not knowing what is going to happen, and so on and so forth. This is one of the clear indicators of psychological indicators that someone is using substances. Then stress, then distress, and so on and so forth. So these are mostly the common physical, behavioral, and psychological signs of or indicators that someone is using substances. To just go back into how your question, that how do substances affect the liver, the kidney, the brain?
Heart.
I just want to use a simple example. Amon, have you ever cooked?
Because people think that you use these statements to scare them away from the substances.
Yes.
So want to get the real truth about this.
Yeah, have you ever prepared any meal in your house?
Yes, please.
Have you ever cooked dry beans? So a dry bean is something that if you plant, if you put in soil, it germinates. So what happens if you put that dry bean, or you boil it in water and it gets ready? When you get maybe a piece and put it in soil, can it germinate?
Not really.
It can't germinate. So
Because I killed it by boiling it.
You killed it by boiling it. You get it? So substances kill our body cells. Substances strain the liver. Substances strain the kidney. Remember, these are body parts that help the body perform. Let's say the kidney so much fights dirty things out of the body.
And for you adding dirty things.
And you're adding in the hot water that boiled the bean. You get it? So it becomes hard for the body to perform. To put it in context, just using the same example, our brain operates mainly using a cell called the neuron. The neuron is a brain cell that helps the brain perform. So let us assume the neuron, the neuron is the bean, and you're putting the dry bean that is able to germinate when you plant it in the soil. You boil it. So the boiling, you're putting in substances or alcohol in the body. So these substances or alcohol change the shape of how the neuron functions, and that's where we normally hear the conversation, hey, someone has got brain cancer, someone has got cancer of blood, someone has got kidney failure, someone has got. Now, cancer is just not something complex. It is just an abnormality of a normal cell. Now, the normal cell we are talking about here is a neuron, which is in the brain. So what happens if you put toxic substances, consume the toxic substances, put it in the body? What is going to happen to the brain cell? It is going to struggle to function because it is now in a condition it shouldn't be. You remember the dry bean, putting it in very hot water? It changes the shape. So that dry bean, okay, the ready bean that has already changed the shape and it is already ready cannot reproduce. So substances affect these neurons in the brain, the brain cells that keep the brain functioning. So it predisposes one to brain cancer. It predisposes one to other mental health conditions. We're talking of depression. It predisposes, it can predispose one to other substance-related disorders. So that is how dangerous alcohol or substances are, how it affects the brain. Now, if it goes into the body, it can, one, affect your liver, it affects your kidney, it affects your intestinal system, it affects your cardiovascular system. Now, this predisposes you to other conditions like stroke, because now if you're consuming a lot of these stimulants or opioid or heroin or alcohol, it changes even how the heart beats, the palpitation. You get it? The heart beats at a very higher rate. So it predisposes you to either high blood pressure, hypertension, or very low blood pressure, depending on what kind of stimulant you're using. So all these conditions are bad, and it predisposes one to all these cardiovascular complications and non-cardiovascular complications.
All right, thank you so very much, Deo. Later I'm going to put also there are so many myths about addiction that Ugandans should stop believing. I come to you, Akelo. Before you take a break, I would also want to come to you shortly. People who are victims of these substances, they say they have picked some of the interest from social media and other platforms. And I'm wondering what role do they or those social media and entertainment play in influencing young people, especially when we talk girls' attitudes toward drugs.
Thank you so much, Amon. Yes, actually very many young people have become addicted to drugs, taking up influence from social media. Exposure to social media in youthful ages or even below as minors. Like you find people, there are very many articles across social media. You could find articles, things to do with drugs. You find someone, people get some social medias on social media. People get role models on social media and they start looking up to living a life as them. Then in the long run, with time, they start to learn that kumbe these people are doing drugs. That's why they are the way they are. Or maybe someone would like to become a musician and then they are admiring a certain artist so much digitally to a point that they really want to become like them. So they start doing drugs because they feel like, yes, if I start doing drugs, maybe I'm going to perform like so and so. Maybe I'm going to perform like this on stage. Maybe I'm going to be such a great speaker, when I do drugs. So they start copying the lives from some of these influencers, believing that it is drugs that makes them to do certain things. Yet actually sometimes it is not the drugs. Sometimes these people, it is actually how they are aligned, or depending on the research that they have made, self-realization and other factors, they have ended up where they are. But looking up to other people on social media has landed very many young people into doing drugs because they want to be like them. And they read some articles, or some people, they just hear of marijuana, they go on social media and they search out about marijuana, they see how it is, and before you know it, they want to go and try it on ground. So they start searching out, where can I get marijuana, and I give it a try. Where can I get cocaine, and I give it a try, or any other substance. They just want to give it a try, and before you know it, in the long run, you become so addicted that you cannot do without it. You get so addicted and you cannot do anything without it because of addiction. So yes, social media is really playing a big role in making the young people get involved into the substance use.
Yeah.
Okay, waiting a very short break and returning just a bit. I pray you don't go away. And in the second part, when we come back right from the break, it is when we shall be reading your messages and also picking your calls on what you think needs to be done to confront the drug abuse in Uganda or among Ugandans. On 0776511426 is the number you can send your messages or call. Amon Buteega with Akelo, Deo, and Claire in studios of UBC, and we're taking a very short break and we're coming back in just a bit. Please stay tuned.
We shall be right back. It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody should. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the customer tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
UBC Radio Network, your national preferred choice. We broadcast all over Uganda and beyond. Join us on 98 FM in Kampala, 99.4 FM Lira, and 97.4 FM Arua. UBC Radio, inspiring Uganda.
As Uganda works towards Vision 2040, UBC Radio is dedicated to the development of Uganda. Join us every day for transformative programs in English, Swahili, and Luo. This is UBC Radio.
24/7. Listen to UBC radio shows.
Wewe ni raia Uganda na mwenye pato la chini ya shilingi milioni 1 kwa mwaka? Serikali ya Uganda imekuwekea kimkakati mpango wa PDM wa kukwamua kutoka katika umasikini. PDM ni juhudi ya serikali ya Uganda kupitia wizara yake ya serikali za mitaa wenye nia ya kuboresha maisha ya raia wote wa Uganda. Pata maelezo zaidi ya PDM katika kata au parishi yako kwa kusikiliza vipindi mbalimbali vya PDM. Huwa tunakuletea wataalamu ili kukueleza, kukufafanulia, kukuelimisha na pia kushirikiana nawe ili kuelewa jinsi ya kufaidika na PDM. PDM, parishi yangu, maendeleo yangu, maisha yangu. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
As Uganda works towards Vision 2040, UBC Radio is dedicated to the development of Uganda. Join us every day for transformative programs in English, Swahili, and Luo. This is UBC Radio.
It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody showed. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the customer tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda. Welcome back. Ground Zero continues.
UBC Ground Zero continues on 5 radio stations, and this is UBC Radio, UBC Butebo, UBC West Nile, UBC Magic, and Voice of Butebo. We are streaming live on YouTube. We just put UBC Ground Zero and you'll be part of the conversation. And Ampaire Amon Buteega is my name. Our topic is confronting the drug abuse crisis among Ugandans. In our studios, we have Claire Nasasera, is the mental health advocate and founder or team lead from the Sanity Haven. Andrew Deo Onglapas is the director of Free Mind Therapy, licensed psychologist, substance and alcohol specialist. Akelo Victoria is the child activist, and we also want to know you and your opinion on 776-511-426. Tell us. You're live on UBC radios. Hello. All right, call again on 776-511-426, and we shall be able to pick you and you share your perspective on confronting drug abuse among Ugandans. You're live on UBC radios. Hello. I don't know whether it's my phone or the other side. But you can call on 776-511-426 and tell us what you think. Are you there? UBC?
UBC, good morning.
Very good morning to you. Your name and where are you calling us from, sir?
My name is Arnold.
Okay.
I'm calling from Boya. Nakawa.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I have several questions here.
All right.
I don't know. Now, the first one is, I take a lot of coffee, and my friends tell me that it will have an effect in future. So, yeah, I need an advice as far as that is concerned. So, some people say boiling the leaves of marijuana, the medicine. I don't know. So, what are the methods of administering some of these drugs? Because we always hear of some of these abuses are injections. But the common ones we know here in Uganda is either you chew, you smoke, that kind of. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so very much, and I guess we'll be able to address those concerns, sir.
Thank you.
776511426. Tell us what you think about confronting drug abuse among Ugandans. You're live on UBC Ground Zero. Your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, morning.
Very good morning to you.
I'm from Nagongera.
You are?
I'm tuning from Nagongera.
All right, sir.
Yeah, just I wanted to ask some questions concerning with those drugs. Can these drugs
Please
really
go ahead.
affect the production, rate of production in the men? Or can they lead to enlargement of
Call again 776511426. You're live on UBC radios.
Hello.
You're live on UBC radios.
Thank you, presenter, and all in the studio.
We are right.
I'm senior citizen of the embassy, and I'm very grateful. I'm from northern Uganda now in Kampala.
Okay.
I'm very grateful for what my children are talking about.
Okay, sir.
They are very elaborate in what they are trying to tell us. But let us take this case now as if patients who have come to these doctors, they are talking about the symptoms and they are trying to treat the symptoms. I would have preferred them to find out the root causes. What they are doing is just like the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg. The real problem is not the people now in that problem. It is the source. And unless we tackle the source of those problems, we are going to work for lifetime without success.
All right, sir.
When we were young, in the 40s, during the colonial time, alcohol had strict laws on the sale of alcohol and others. But take it today, there may be law on the sales of alcohol, but look at the business people, how they advertise openly in various attractive names. It is the total change of behavior in our people that has promoted this into a form of what I should call cancer. What drives a housewife to go into alcoholism or addiction? What drives a patient to go into drug abuse? Take a patient like somebody diabetic or somebody hypertensive.
Okay, sir. 511-426. Time is not on our side, and want to also share some feedback from others. Just give us, we give you 1 minute is enough to say your name, where you come from, and also concern. You're live on UBC radios.
Hello. This is Nicholas from Nabusugwe.
Nicholas from where?
From Nabusugwe.
Okay.
So there's a question you asked that gentleman, the second gentleman who gave out his views. So you were like asking him what are the response effects for the person who has once used the substance and has stopped. What are the response effects? But he did not reply. I don't know whether it was about time. Like a person like me who has used this for some quite years and trying to fight it. I wanted to know the reverse effects for using the substances when you have now stopped using.
Okay, thank you so very much, sir, for sharing.
Okay.
6511426. And if I can also go through some of the messages. Thank you, Amon, for the program. This is one of the interesting topics that you brought this time, and I want to believe that it is changing so many lives. But my concern is, what is the biggest cause of drug abuse among young people in Uganda? Okay, is Uganda doing enough to fight drug abuse if you are to look at this policies and the systems? All right. Your name and where you calling from, sir? Oh, madam.
Buteega, Amon. Good morning to all the panelists.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. It is very interesting topic, which is taking away lives of our young boys and girls. By the way, Amon, these days my typical sign I could judge this person is with the drugs. Someone moving on the street at the street alone and finger pointing everywhere, left and right, center. And this person is very smart. That one to me also is a symptom.
So whoever is doing that for you, you judge these on drugs.
Even will tell me, because finger pointing anyhow, and your hairs are like it is not a dread; it is in a form of dread. There is a way how a weird person look in public. You will know something is not right here. The dressing style, dressing code. You're not bothering whether one side of the trouser is down or one is up. What are you showing? That's for that. Now, my major facts are here. The gentleman who is with you there, I love his submission so much. And greeting to him. And greeting to all of us. Now, chicha producers. Because those chicha, those cocaine, they're being sold in expensive bars. There might be some awareness from those bosses, and before they established those to the locals to consume, they were a part of it first. I know, I'm remembered. You who are the stakeholders, the government, the governance bodies, the activists like my sister, how long do you take to go to those suburbs to sensitize or to engage those restaurant, bars, owners? Because senior citizen touched a bit. How are we going to penetrate to reach to the source? Who introduced these substances, which is now taking us backward? Those are the key points. We are supposed to start fighting this drugs abuse. You send your child at campus, and the child gave you a good idea. I want to rent outside from school, from campus.
As you conclude, sir, time is not on our side, sir.
Or maybe you rearrange again another time, then you open for us at least 1 hour. Let me stop here, but let us fight the source of this, and the government should put strict measures, not to dwell so much under 18. Under 18 now is nothing. Let us take it to 25 years. Then we continue with those drugs. I thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. On Jomo there is part of UBC Ground Zero. Always and always. My daughter has changed friends and now comes home late. How can I tell if she's being influenced to use drugs? Okay, why are more girls becoming involved in drug abuse, and what can parents do to protect them? I'm reading all the comments, and time is not outside. You shall go through those comments chap, and then what girls who are afraid to speak about to speak out because their friends use drugs. Okay. How can depression or anxiety cause someone to start using drugs? My question goes to Claire. Okay. How do I know whether my child needs a mental health professional or is just going through a difficult phase? All right. So many messages coming here. My question goes to Deo. Why do some people become addicted and others do not? And I wanted to know, as you had already put that question to him, I was interested in knowing why. Is it about the genes? Is it about behavioral? Okay. How long does it take someone to recover psychologically from drug addiction? Can addiction be treated without going to a rehabilitation center? is how important is counseling during recovery. My question, Amon, is how can stress from unemployment lead to young people to take drugs? Because this is a serious concern, and I want to believe that it is one of the causes. Okay, how can schools better support students struggling with mental health? There are so many questions to do with this, and I can't read them all, but now the time is fast spent. But let's start from there. Claire, Akelo, and Ngolopas, please use a very, very few minutes to address these concerns. In that order, Claire, start from there.
Thank you very much, Amon, and to the callers, thank you very much for listening in and for giving feedback from the conversation. If I should start with a question which was directed to me about anxiety and depression and how they affect someone's mental health. For starters, depression is mental health itself. It's a mental health issue. If you're depressed, that means you have a mental health trigger. It means something is really not working out with you, and your mind is overthinking it, and by doing that, you end up losing the morale. You end up having low moods. You end up changing one or the other. If you loved being happy with people, now this time around you want to stay indoors, you want to be by yourself, you want to be by your phone, or you want to be sleeping and covering your head and thinking life and trying to reach for solutions which you cannot find while you're sleeping. But at that point is your body dictating upon what you're doing as much as your brain does, because sometimes you will try to raise your head to perhaps step out, and it is kind of hard for you to do that because at that point your mind tells you need to be where you are, you need to be in your bed, you need to be turning left, right, looking at the ceiling, facing down, and that's all you can afford to do. So even actually at that point you don't even feel hungry. All you feel is you want to be where you are. You feel like you're fatigued without doing any kind of work. You feel like you're tired without getting busy. There is a way you feel. That is the depression, and anxiety definitely comes with the anticipations of what you do not know. Like you're expecting things to happen, but you're not sure of what is going to happen, and you keep on expecting, and then your heart is pumping at higher rates. You're getting panic attacks, which you do not know how to deal with. At times, your body is overly functional in a way that you do not know how to deal with it. And then another question was about unemployment. How does unemployment affect us? Definitely, unemployment affects our mental health in a way that remember, when you're employed, you're earning and you're able to take care of your bills. Now at that time when you have been laid off and you're unable to cater for your bills, to cater for your other responsibilities, it gets hard for you to maneuver through this life, and that is where the depression sets in. At this point you do not know where to go, because for example you've been waking up, bathing and going to work to meet your colleagues and all that, but at this point you have nowhere to go because you've been laid off, so you no longer have the workmates you've been meeting, and that is the only workplace you had. So apparently you're going to stay home, you're going to wake up and sleep and wake up and sleep and wake up and sleep, and you do not know what to do next. And before you know it, you have lost weight, you've lost appetite, you've the friends who have been there for you are no longer there, because apparently life's about friends are all about spending. If you want to meet friends, you're going to buy drinks and eat and talk and discuss life, but this time around you do not have anything, so you cannot fit in. So that's as much I can respond to the questions that have been forwarded to me as a person. Thank you very much, Amon.
You're welcome. Akelo?
Thank you so much, Amon. Someone asked a question that how long do we take to reach out to suburbs to talk about these drugs among Ugandans? Okay, as an activist, we normally organize various functions where we reach out to communities and advocate not only for the rights of the girl child, but as well empowering people and telling them about the consequences of these drugs and advising them on what to do for those who are already addicted to the drugs, most especially advising them to reach out to rehabilitation centers. However, some people cannot afford, so we are advocating for the government to expand accessible low-cost rehabilitation centers and youth-friendly mental health services outside these urban suburbs, so that most of the young people can be helped out. Also, in partnership with the mental health teams, like my sister is a mental health advocate, there are mental health runs that are always organized, and normally we have talks of advocacies and empowering the youth about the impacts of these drugs and advising them to get good friends who are not going to influence them into becoming drug addicts and all that. Then someone asked a question that why do girls get afraid to speak out about friends who do drugs? Okay, you know, when it comes to friendship, some people would like to rather keep the friendship than securing the future of their friend, because you don't want your friend to hate you, you don't want the friendship to break, you don't want to break the bondage, so you tend to persevere with your friend no matter how much it is going to affect them in the long run. However, what I would advise fellow girls outside there, if you have friends who are drug addicts and who are doing drugs, advise them to reach out to rehabilitation centers, or yourself as a good friend, you can reach out to a therapist or a psychiatrist, and you find a way of getting someone to talk to your friends, to advise them so that they can start living this kind of life slowly, one step by step. They keep on getting away with these drugs slowly, just as a good friend. Because when you get afraid of losing the friendship, remember, you're going to be involved, you're going to participate in killing the future of your own friend. But if you're calling this person your friend, then you can help them in that way. Thank you so much. Yes.
Deo.
Okay. Thank you, Amon. Thank you, listeners, for those wonderful questions. In the shortest time possible that we are left to be in studio, I'll try as much as possible to respond to most of the questions that were raised in a very precise and concise manner. To begin with, the senior citizen who resides in Gulu but apparently is in Kampala, he raised a very, very pertinent question. The root causes, what are the root causes of this drug abuse or drug use, and the source? And he clearly stated that this is just a tip of an iceberg. What drives abuse? As I earlier mentioned in my earlier opening remarks, there are several causes of that predispose or make people use these substances. They could be prescribed substances or drugs that we get from pharmacies, like let's say the morphine that mostly is used at Cancer Institute. Yes, it is prescribed, but if it is overused, it affects you in a longer run. Paracetamol is as well good prescribed in the pharmacy, but very dangerous if used in excess, because it predisposes, it could predispose one to, or the person who abuses it to what they call what it is medically termed as antibiotic resistance. There are so many underlying factors or conditions that make people use these substances. The actual use of substances is just an outcome of something beneath. There is an underlying condition normally beneath substance use. It could be biological, it could be psychological, it could be physical. Biologically, they are people who find themselves using substances, not because they want, but biology has dictated that someone ends up using these substances. because of inheritance, the genetic predisposition. So one just starts using substances. It could be as an experiment, yes, but they find themselves abusing it by nature. That is biological. Psychologically, someone could be struggling with other conditions. It could be self-esteem concerns. Remember, a person struggling with low self-esteem or poor self-esteem can do anything. This is a person who can even kill. A person who struggles with low self-esteem can do anything. So people who struggle with low self-esteem as a result of maybe the sickness that they're having, or the physical appearance they have, or it could result from a heartbreak, it could result from a domestic violence thing, it could be resulting from a background related concern. A person who has low self-esteem can do anything, and low self-esteem is the biggest driver of substance misuse amongst our population, and the desire for an addiction called the approval or external validation. We earlier talked about how social media drives these youths to engage in substance use. Then there is now the social aspect, where the social environment, family system drives people to use, or youths to use these substances. They see there is a minibar in the house, they're seeing daddy consuming some beer or injecting themselves and so on, and a child is seeing. What do you think happens? They will find themselves taking these substances. So there's so many reasons as to why youths or adults use these substances. As earlier stated, biological, psychological, emotional, and so on and so forth. So these are underlying conditions that predispose one to using substances, because now using substances here is the problem that we see. But the really problem is not the substance use. The really problem is the underlying condition, domestic violence, self-esteem concerns, and so on. So I just wanted to be clear about the source, as earlier raised by the senior citizen. Someone from Nagongera said, can drugs affect performance? And I want to assume he spoke about sexual performance, production in men, and so on and so forth. Yes, substances, as earlier said, affect us physically, affect our body system entirely if used in excess. And there is no amount of substance or alcohol that is good for our bodies. Whether, for example, people who passively smoke, they are not smokers, but someone has smoked and they've inhaled that smoke of cigarettes and something of that. It takes an average of 7 years for that particular, if a person inhales that and it enters their body system, it takes 7 years for it to almost get off. So this is a big challenge. Someone also mentioned, how do I know that my child needs a mental health practitioner? One, the vivid behavioral symptoms that you can see a child exhibiting. For example, a child who is starting to be aggressive, that is a clear indicator that something is happening. A child who results into maladaptive coping, starting what they call the boy-girl relationship at a teenage age or at a young age, and they want to engage in sex and so on and so forth. These are clear symptoms that there is something not right. Just to go into, someone also asked, can someone get well out of the rehabilitation setting? The answer is yes. Why? The programs run by different organizations called the home-based rehabilitation. They rehabilitate you, but at a home setting. And also,
so it cannot be an individual effort.
Yes, it may not be an individual effort. It requires partly the effort of a clinical practitioner to support well with what they call the dealing with the withdrawal symptoms. So someone can get well, yes, at home, but also someone can get well if they understand the root causes of what predisposed them to using alcohol. For example, if someone has been struggling with stress, and you know that it is stress that is making me to take one beer every evening before going to sleep, if one gets to identify what they call good coping mechanism, that taking beer is not going to solve my problem, to solve this stress, but rather I can go to a sauna, rather I can take a jog, rather I can talk to Andrew, or I can talk to Claire, or I can talk to Akelo about my concern as a friend, so that I find a good advice on how to maneuver around this concern. So yes, someone can get healed out of, or someone can get well outside the rehabilitation center. I think for now those are the questions. I think I
even the reversible, if you can react on that.
Okay. Now there is a gentleman who talked about him having been an addict, and if his conditions can be reversible. We would need to understand what conditions are these. One, by conducting a clinical mental health assessment, a clinical emotional screening to understand at what stage is he in. If he's really recovered, then I could say mentally or emotionally. Okay, basically the things that you can see mentally or emotional that this person is still struggling. So that would need a mental health practitioner's intervention to help them deal with those adverse effects. Then physically, the person would also need to conduct certain tests, the liver function test, kidney function test, and blah, 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 to help understand at how healthy or how much effect this alcohol has had in their liver or kidney, to help them get further or clinical help to reverse certain conditions. So okay. I think that is it from me, and just responses to the questions I noted down. Thank you.
Time is not on our side. I would request you all to give your way forward and also your parting shots. Claire, Akelo, and Deo will sum it all.
Thank you very much, Amon, for inviting me here today to talk about today's wonderful topic, and give my submissions as regards to confronting the drug use among Ugandans. And I'm very much happy and excited to have given in my views. My parting shots to the listeners of this wonderful program is that mental health is real the same way physical health is, and we should take it as seriously the same manner we take physical health seriously. If you feel headache, you're able to go and grab a Panadol from the nearest pharmacy. This applies to if you feel depressed, you should also reach out to someone. It might not be a professional, but you can always reach out to someone and talk about these things, because like they say, a problem shared is a problem half solved. So you can always get a half a solution until you can access something deeper in case that your situation deteriorates. And something else I would like to leave to the parents out there who are worried about their children taking drugs and befriending the wrong crowd. We should know that peer pressure is very much prevalent. We have all been at a certain age in our lives where peer pressure has been dictating upon our actions, and that has not stopped with any generation. It is still continuing to happen with even the next generations. Peer pressure is real, and as parents, you need to find time and get close to your children, to your teenagers, talk to them, befriend them, and that is the only way they can be able to open up to you and tell you about certain situations happening in their lives. Because sometimes children are scared to talk to their parents because of the way they are treated. If you're always scaring the child that way, then there is no way they're going to trust you with their problems, because they expect you to judge them, to finger point, and not be as helpful as they think you should be. So I think the first step should be befriend your child, get as close as you can to them, talk to them, hear them out, and problems are going to be shared and solutions are going to be found. So once again, I'm very much glad to have been here today, and I look forward to a better mentally healthy Uganda. Thank you very much, Amon, for having me. Yeah.
Indeed. Akelo?
Thank you so much, Amon. My final message to fellow Ugandans is we can actually overcome this drug addiction crisis in the country. However, it all starts from an individual basis. It starts with you as an individual. As an individual, always avoid places where you know that drugs and alcohol will be available. Just start distancing yourself from such spaces, and in the long run, it's going to help you to avoid them. Surround yourself with friends who do not use drugs. We all know that within our circles, you know that this is such a friend, this is this kind of a friend, the other one does drugs. So if you start distancing yourself from the types that do drugs, then the better for you as a person. Then we need to learn how to cope with stress and relax without using drugs. This could be like from reaching out to other people, to therapists or psychiatrists, and you have deep conversations with them on how you can cope up with stress. Like during your free time, you can even do other things, like you can do exercise, you go out to the gym, you listen to the music that will help you occupy your free times, other than having an idle mind and you end up thinking about doing drugs and stuff like that. Then to our policymakers, advocate for structural reforms, for example, better funding of rehabilitation centers, so that many young people can reach out to these centers and get the support that can help them be better people. And our parents, let us not hide victims. Some parents at home, they have actually typical drug addicts at home as their children, but because they fear societal judgment, they fear that the society is going to judge them, so they keep quiet about what is taking place in their own home. But as a parent, the first day you gave birth to your child, you became responsible for upbringing this child. So it has to be your responsibility as well to reach out to rehabilitation centers or other psychiatrists to counsel your child who is already into this. Otherwise, that is all I have. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to us, and thank you so much, Amon, for inviting me in this wonderful discussion. Thank you so much.
Right, Deo, you can submit all in a few seconds.
Okay,
minutes.
Thank you so much, Amon, for the invite here, and thank you, great listeners, for listening into UBC radios across different frequencies in the country. My parting remarks are: there is something simply called psychological first aid. you don't have to be a practitioner, you don't have to be a clinician, you don't have to be a clinical psychologist or a psychologist like me for you to help someone struggling with an addiction. In Uganda, we are very few practitioners, and the psychiatrists are about 53 in the entire country. Now, as the licensed one are less than, I think, 5,000. So we cannot reach everywhere. So that's why psychological first aid is very important. That as a parent, psychological first aid simply means listening, could be simply mean listening to someone experiencing a challenge. Besides listening, you link. Linking means who do you know who can support this person struggling with this condition, and just being non-judgmental. So let us master the art of listening to people struggling with these disorders, but also let us build what they call the support system that will enable us link the people struggling with these concerns to professional practitioners. My really parting remarks are, we cannot add the number of days on earth that we are supposed to be living, but we can add the life into those days that we are defined to live. The life, I mean how you choose to live, determines the kind of life that you're going to have. If you choose to live a happy life defined by what you do, then you're going to have a longer life. If you choose to decide to engage or indulge in substance misuse because of excitement, because of influence, because of poor parenting, then that also dictates kind of the lives we are going to have. Otherwise, we wish Ugandans well, but also want to inform you that it is possible to heal or to get out of an addiction you are struggling with, regardless of what kind of addiction it is. Could be behavioral, it could be substance-related addiction. Thank you, Amon, once again, and thank you to the management of UBC for inviting us here today. Wish you a blessed time.
All right, that brings us to the end of our discussion, and I want to believe that we've picked a leaf from our conversations, and I want to thank you in a very special way, our dear guests, for making time to come through, educate, empower, and also inform the people of Uganda on UBC Ground Zero platform and UBC 5 radio stations that cover this program live: UBC Radio, UBC Butebo, UBC Magic, UBC West Nile, and also Voice of Butebo, and those who follow us on social media, especially YouTube and also X and Facebook. Until next time, same station, same program. And I want to thank you, Claire Sasila, the mental health advocate and founder, team lead at the Santi Haven, and also Andrew Deo Ongulapas is the director of Free Mind Therapy, licensed psychologist, as he has already told you that they are very few in the country. So when you get opportunity to land on one, please stick on to him or her for you to be helped. And he's also a substance or alcohol specialist. And also we had Akelo Victoria, girl child activist, and we're discussing confronting the drug abuse crisis among Ugandans. And I want to believe that from the time we started until now, there are people who have already said, no, I shall not take any drug anymore. And I want to thank you for those of you that have made that decision to transform your life. You are not only transforming your life today, but you're also transforming your household, your community, and your country. Because when you are affected, we are all affected. When you die, the country loses. And we don't want to lose anyone. Of course, you would say even those that will not take substances will die. Yes, but they die at their appropriate time. So don't kill yourself. Wait for your day to come. And as you heard from the experts, please, it is very important that you live a healthy life. This is UBC Ground Zero. Ampaire Amon Butega is my name. And for God and my country, allow me now to sign out. Peace.
It was Ground Zero, a production of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, inspiring Uganda. It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody showed. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the customer tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcast.